Jenny was a young student who loved literature, especially stories in English. She dreamed of speaking English fluently one day so she could read books in their original language, understand movies, and talk to people from all over the world. However, there was one big problem. Jenny was a beginner. She had just started learning English and often felt nervous about speaking because she didn't know many words. She was afraid of making mistakes, and this made her hesitate to try. One summer morning, Jenny was sitting on a train in London. The weather was beautiful, and the sun was shining brightly through the windows. She was looking out the window, thinking about her English lessons when she overheard a conversation. Two women were sitting across from her, talking in English. Jenny could understand a little, but not much. Still, she couldn't stop listening. The sound of their voices and the rhythm of their words fascinated her. Jenny thought to herself, "One day I want to speak like them. I want to understand everything they say." But the thought of speaking English with someone else still made her feel nervous. How can I start? She wondered. She wasn't sure how to begin, but she knew she had to try. Suddenly she felt a spark of hope. She knew that if she wanted to learn, she had to take the first step. Jenny had always wanted to improve her English, but she didn't know how to make real progress. That day, as she sat there thinking, she decided to start right away. The train stopped at a station, and Jenny realized it was her stop. She stood up, ready to leave, but then something unexpected happened. She looked at the two women, and without thinking, she gathered all her courage. She smiled and said, "Excuse me, do you speak English?" The women looked at her kindly and nodded. "Yes, we do," they said. Jenny felt her heart race. She wanted to say more, but she didn't know how. She took a deep breath and said, "I am learning English. It is hard for me, but I want to improve." The women smiled warmly, understanding her struggle. "That's great. Keep going, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. Everyone learns at their own pace," one of them said. Jenny was so happy that they understood her. It made her feel more confident. For the first time, she realized that it was okay to make mistakes while learning. They continued talking for a few more minutes. The conversation wasn't long, only about 10 minutes, but it meant so much to Jenny. The women shared that they were from England, and they were returning home after a conference. They were kind and patient, and Jenny felt a sense of connection with them. Before she left the train, they gave her their contact information. They told her she could reach out anytime if she needed help learning English. Jenny felt a rush of excitement as she got off the train. She couldn't believe that she had spoken to them, and even more, that they had understood her. "This is my chance," she thought. "I will learn English. I won't give up." After this meeting, Jenny made a plan. She promised herself that she would work on her English every day. She knew that it wasn't going to be easy, but she was ready to try. She decided to start by practicing speaking. Every day, she would read simple texts in English, listen to songs, and watch movies with subtitles. She also wrote down new words she learned and practiced saying them out loud. At first, it was difficult. Sometimes she couldn't understand the movies, and some words felt impossible to remember. But Jenny didn't let this stop her. She kept going, focusing on small steps. She reminded herself that learning a new language took time, and she had to be patient with herself. Jenny also found that celebrating small wins was important. Every time she understood a word or sentence, she felt proud of herself. Even if she only understood a little bit, it was progress. She learned to appreciate these small victories and realized that they were the key to her success. As Jenny continued practicing, she noticed that her confidence grew. She began to use English more in her daily life. She practiced with her friends, listened to English podcasts, and even started writing short stories. The more she practiced, the more comfortable she became. Jenny realized that learning English was not just about memorizing words and rules from textbooks. It was about using the language, speaking and thinking in English. Every small step, whether it was learning a new word or speaking to someone, was helping her move closer to her goal. One day, Jenny looked back and thought about how far she had come since that first conversation on the train. She remembered how nervous she felt, but also how proud she was of herself for taking that first step. Jenny knew that she still had a long way to go, but she was excited for the journey ahead. Learning English wasn't easy, but it was worth it. Jenny understood that progress doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, effort, and most importantly, the willingness to keep going even when it feels difficult. For Jenny, the most important lesson was that every little step counted. And so, Jenny's journey of learning English continued. She knew that as long as she kept taking small steps, one day she would be able to speak confidently, just like the women on the train. The key was to never stop trying, to keep learning, and to embrace the process. In the end, Jenny realized that learning a new language was not just about speaking, it was about growing. And that, in itself, was the most exciting part of all. When Jenny arrived in London, she was filled with excitement. She had dreamed of this moment for a long time, studying English in a city where the language was spoken every day. She enrolled in an English school to improve her skills. On her first day, she was a little nervous. She wasn't sure what to expect, but she knew this was an important step in her learning journey. When Jenny walked into the classroom, she saw her new teacher. Her name was Sarah, and she was young, kind, and very friendly. Jenny felt nervous at first, but Sarah immediately made her feel welcome. Sarah greeted the class with a big smile and introduced herself. She asked each student to say their name and share a little bit about themselves. Jenny spoke up shyly and said, "Hello, my name is Jenny. I'm a beginner in English, but I really want to improve." Sarah smiled and encouraged Jenny. "That's great, Jenny. Don't worry about being perfect. We're all here to learn together." This made Jenny feel much better. She realized that in this class, it was okay to make mistakes because everyone was there to learn and grow. After everyone had introduced themselves, Sarah began the lesson. She started by asking the class a question. "What do you think is the best way to learn English?" she asked. Jenny listened carefully, hoping to get some ideas that would help her. Sarah explained that there were many ways to learn a language, but the most important thing was to use English in everyday life. "You don't need to study from textbooks all the time," Sarah said. "You need to practice using English in your daily life. The more you use it, the better you will get." Jenny was surprised by this advice. She had always thought that studying grammar and vocabulary from books was the best way to learn. But Sarah explained that using English to talk to people, listen to music, watch movies, and read books would help Jenny learn much faster. "Language is not just a subject you study," Sarah said. "It is a tool for communication. You need to use it to express your thoughts and ideas." Jenny understood. She realized that learning English was not just about knowing the rules of grammar or memorizing new words. It was about using the language to connect with others, to express what she thought, and to understand the world around her. Sarah's teaching method was different from what Jenny had expected, but it was exactly what she needed. Sarah didn't just focus on textbooks and grammar rules. Instead, she encouraged her students to practice English in real situations. She wanted them to speak, listen, and use English every day, even if they made mistakes. Jenny felt relieved. She didn't have to worry about speaking perfectly right away. All she needed to do was try and practice as much as possible. In the next lesson, Sarah gave the students some simple advice on how to learn new words. She explained that reading was one of the most effective ways to learn vocabulary. When you read, you learn new words in the context of a story or conversation, Sarah said. It helps you understand how words are used naturally in the language. Jenny decided to follow this advice. She started reading short stories and articles in English. At first, it was difficult to understand everything, but Sarah had told her not to worry about every single word. If you don't understand a word, try to guess its meaning from the context, Sarah had said. Don't stop reading every time you see a word you don't know. Just keep going and you'll understand more over time. Jenny followed this advice, and soon she started to notice improvement. She could understand more words and phrases, and she felt more confident reading in English. When she came across a word she didn't know, she would look it up in a dictionary and continue reading. This helped her learn new words in a natural way without feeling overwhelmed. In addition to reading, Sarah also encouraged her students to listen to English every day. The more you listen to English, the easier it will be to understand and speak, she explained. Jenny took this advice seriously and started listening to English podcasts, songs, and movies. At first, she didn't understand everything, but she kept listening. Over time, her listening skills improved, and she began to understand more. Sarah also emphasized the importance of speaking. You can learn all the grammar and vocabulary in the world, but if you don't practice speaking, you won't be able to communicate well, she said. Jenny knew this was true. She started speaking more in class and even practiced speaking with her classmates outside of class. Jenny didn't mind making mistakes anymore because she understood that each mistake was a step toward improvement. As the weeks went by, Jenny's English started to improve in many areas. She was speaking more confidently, understanding more of what she read and heard, and using new words in her conversations. Jenny realized that learning English wasn't about memorizing everything perfectly. It was about using the language as much as possible and practicing every day. By the end of the month, Jenny felt more confident in her abilities. She had learned so much from Sarah's approach, and she was excited to continue her journey of learning English. She knew there would be challenges along the way, but with Sarah's guidance, she felt ready to face them. Jenny's experience in Sarah's class taught her an important lesson. Learning English wasn't about perfection, but about practice, patience, and using the language in everyday life. Jenny was now more motivated than ever to continue improving her English, knowing that with each day of practice, she was getting closer to her goal. Jenny's journey with English was not always easy. Even though she was excited to learn, she soon faced some challenges. One of the first difficulties she encountered was pronunciation. At the beginning, Jenny felt frustrated when she tried to speak. She could understand a lot, but when it came to speaking, she felt like her words didn't sound right. She worried that people wouldn't understand her. One day, during class, Jenny noticed that a classmate named Hyo, who was from South Korea, was also struggling with his pronunciation. He often hesitated when speaking because he felt embarrassed. Hyo said, "I can understand English, but when I try to speak it sounds wrong. I don't know how to improve." Jenny could relate to Hyo's feelings. She too felt self-conscious about her pronunciation. Their teacher, Sarah, saw that many students were having trouble with pronunciation. So, she decided to teach them a new technique called shadowing. Sarah explained, "When you shadow, you simply copy what you hear. It's like listening to someone speak and trying to repeat exactly what they say." Jenny was curious about this technique. She had never heard of it before, but she was eager to try. The idea of shadowing seemed simple. Sarah gave them a short video to watch. It was a video of a native English speaker talking in clear, easy-to-understand sentences. Jenny and her classmates were asked to listen to the speaker and then repeat the words and phrases. At first, it felt strange. Jenny had to really focus on listening carefully and trying to copy the speaker's words. But as she practiced, she started to notice a difference. Her pronunciation became clearer, and she felt more confident when speaking. Jenny continued to practice shadowing every day. She would listen to English podcasts or watch videos with subtitles. After listening to the speaker, she would repeat what they said, trying to match their pronunciation and rhythm. Over time, Jenny's speaking became more natural, and her fear of making mistakes started to fade. Shadowing was not just about improving her pronunciation, it was also helping her feel more comfortable speaking English. One of the most important lessons Jenny learned was that making mistakes was a normal part of learning. She realized that she didn't need to be perfect, and that trying and practicing were the most important things. Every time she practiced speaking, Even if she made a mistake, she was getting better. Jenny learned to be patient with herself. She understood that improvement takes time. Another technique that Jenny found helpful was called thinking aloud. One day, Sarah explained this technique to the class. Thinking aloud means speaking your thoughts out loud in English, Sarah said. When you think in English, you start to feel more natural using the language. At first, Jenny wasn't sure how to do this. It felt strange to speak her thoughts out loud, especially when she was still learning. But Sarah encouraged them to try, saying that it was a great way to practice thinking in English and becoming more fluent. Jenny decided to give it a try. She began thinking in English and saying the sentences out loud. For example, when she was at home, she would say, "I am going to study English now. I like this book. This word is difficult, but I will remember it." It felt strange at first, but Jenny soon saw the benefits. As she practiced thinking aloud, she felt more comfortable speaking in English. It helped her to form sentences quickly, without needing to translate from her native language. Thinking aloud also helped Jenny express herself more freely. She found that when she spoke her thoughts out loud, it made her feel less shy about making mistakes. She started to speak more confidently in class and with her friends. It was a simple but powerful way to improve her speaking skills. Jenny realized that the more she practiced, the easier it became to speak English without overthinking every word. As Jenny continued to practice shadowing and thinking aloud, she also noticed that her listening skills improved. She could understand more of what people were saying in movies and in conversations. Her vocabulary was growing too. She was not just learning words from books, but learning how to use them in real-life situations. Every day, she was learning something new. Even though Jenny had made a lot of progress, she still faced challenges. There were times when she felt frustrated or unsure of herself. But she kept reminding herself that learning a language is a journey. She didn't have to be perfect right away, and it was okay to make mistakes. Each mistake was an opportunity to learn and improve. Jenny's experience showed her that learning English was not just about studying from a textbook. It was about using the language every day, making mistakes, and continuing to practice. It was about believing in herself and her ability to improve. Jenny understood that with each day of practice, she was growing stronger in her skills. Through her journey, Jenny learned the importance of perseverance and patience. She also realized that learning English was not just about speaking the language, it was about becoming more confident and brave in using it. As she continued to use the shadowing and thinking aloud techniques, Jenny felt more in control of her English. She was no longer afraid of making mistakes. Instead, she saw them as stepping stones on her path to fluency. By the end of the course, Jenny was speaking English more naturally. She had overcome her fear of speaking and had learned to express herself with confidence. Jenny's journey wasn't easy, but it was worth it. She had grown not just as a language learner, but also as a person. She had learned that with practice, patience, and a positive attitude, anything was possible. Jenny's journey to learning English was a story of growth, patience, and persistence. She started as a beginner, feeling unsure and nervous about speaking English. She faced challenges, especially with pronunciation, and often struggled to find the right words. But through hard work and dedication, Jenny made steady progress. She learned that it wasn't just about memorizing vocabulary or grammar rules, but about using the language in real-life situations, speaking, and making mistakes along the way. She discovered the power of techniques like shadowing and thinking aloud, which helped her build her confidence and improve her speaking skills. She also learned to appreciate small wins, understanding that every step forward, no matter how small, was important. Through consistent practice, Jenny overcame her fears and became more fluent, eventually using English with ease. The most important lesson from Jenny's story is that learning a new language is a process. It takes time, practice, and patience. There will be obstacles, and it is normal to make mistakes. What matters is to keep going, to embrace the learning process, and to believe in yourself. Just like Jenny, Anyone can achieve their goals with the right attitude, consistency, and a willingness to keep improving every day. Jenny's story teaches us that language learning is not about perfection, but about progress. Don't be afraid of mistakes, because they are a natural part of the process. Whether it's speaking, reading, or listening, the key is to practice regularly and stay motivated. As Jenny showed, it's not about studying harder, but about using the language as much as possible, whether in conversations or daily activities. By following the same approach, practice, persistence, and a positive mindset, anyone can improve their language skills and achieve their goals. Now that you've listened to Jenny's journey and learned valuable lessons, I want to congratulate you on improving your listening and comprehension skills. By following Jenny's path, you too can become more confident in using English in your everyday life. Let's test your understanding of the story. Choose the correct answer. Question: what did Jenny learn was the best way to improve her English? A. Studying grammar books all day. B. Practicing English every day and using it in real-life situations. Please comment your answer below, A or B. I would love to hear your thoughts. Lastly, don't forget to subscribe to our channel to support us in creating more valuable content for you. Your support motivates us to continue helping people like you learn English. Also, if you appreciate the work we do, feel free to donate. Your contributions will help us improve the quality of our content and continue providing helpful resources for all English learners. Thank you for being a part of our learning community.